Doing my afro. It's your boy Tone 202. And I got cut off talking about the bivouac. So, uh, U.S. soldier, Army, uh, Fort Dix, New Jersey, 94 Bravo was my MOS, food service. Anyways, I left off at digging a hole. So you have your entrenching tool. You got to dig that hole. I had to dig the hole for me and Blue. He was like 6'4". He was from the south. He couldn't handle the cold. So, you're a soldier. You got to get done before the sun goes down, because if you don't do it, you'll freeze. So your gear is actually on, level playing, your tent and all that. You have to set all that up too. But when you're in the foxhole, you have to come down into the hole. So all that's protecting you is, of course, your winter gear, your jacket, your gloves, and whatnot. But that's not enough. I'm telling you right now, that just wasn't enough. There were a lot of us who were very, very cold, and but you're going to be even colder if that wind. If you don't dig that hole deep enough, and and look, just 2 feet can make a difference. You can get a break in the wind if you can duck down over it just for 2 feet. You do not want to face that wind coming off that water. But you're even a lot more better if you can stoop down and hunker down into it, and still, have your M16 ready. M16A2 air-cooled rifle, 7.5 pounds. And that 7.5 pounds makes a difference when you're doing your walk. So, so the bivouac is for 3 days, and it's basically you're playing war games. You know what I'm saying? After that, it's Paragon Trails, things along that line. Uh, at the bivouac, you guys might march from there. I don't know how they do it now, but you guys might march from there to the range, and it all depends on what range it is. So here's one thing I know you're going to do at a bivouac. You're going to go and do the where you have to take your mask off, the gas chamber. You're going to have to go through that. Now, before you get excited, it's not the same gas chamber that, a bunch of bad guys use to slaughter a bunch of people. Nonetheless, it is 4 walls that you're not coming out unless somebody opens that door. And I've already talked about that experience. If I haven't, somebody remind me. I will go ahead and do another video on that. But you're going to have that experience. Also, on the bivouac, there are women that are they're doing their bivouac too. They're usually not too far from you. So we were during the day. The next day, it gets warm during the day. So we were out. There's a outhouse near you. So we were going to our house. We saw, a bunch of chicks, and we were like, "Yo, hey, how you doing?" And they screamed as loud as they could and said, "There's boys out here." It's like, we're all adults. You never seen a man before. You know what I'm saying? It's like, good grief. We weren't, flashing him or nothing. We weren't nude. We were just like, "Hey, we ain't seen a woman, up close in, 6 months." We would, wanted to know how they was doing, but they ran like goofy girls do. And, that was the end of that. We didn't get in trouble or anything because the DIs know that, the bivouac girls team is somewhere nearby. And there is just as many of them as there are of you. Let's get that straight, too. And I'm saying all that to say, don't be stupid. Don't go running off, and when you see a bunch of girls, try to get with one of them, because it's a bad deal. You know what I mean? That isn't what our plan was. We just wanted to chat it up for a minute because we were kind of all heading towards the same place, but that didn't happen. And the DIs knew that we saw them, and nothing happened because we didn't do anything. We didn't try to get some loving from them. So that's a bad deal. Don't do that. If you meet somebody out there, you'll have time enough for that. When you get in the AIT, you guys are adults. It's not, it's not restricted, that you can't link up, get together, start relationships. That's how a lot of relationships actually start in boot camp, and then go to AIT, and your AIT could be right there at Fort Dix, where my AIT was. Some AITs, they ship you halfway across the world, so it all depends on what you're in there for. So, nonetheless, another thing you guys might do, well, at the bivouac, what you're definitely going to do, and let me tell you something. After we dug that hole, Blue went to sleep. He took I took the first shift. He went to sleep for 2 hours, and then I came, got about the hole, came and woke him up. Blue, your shift. Boom. He goes out there for 2 hours, but I know he didn't go out there for 2 hours. You get into that to your tent and into your sleeping bag, you are out of it so quick you don't even dream. You're just in deep sleep because you're so exhausted. And let me tell you something, don't fool around with that either. When you get a chance to close your eyes, don't try to be hardcore, because everything you're going to do the next day is going to be high energy. Even if you're standing still, you're going to have to be mentally awake. And there is a lot of people who fall asleep, and they fall asleep during drills. They fall asleep standing up. I've seen a guy fall asleep standing up in formation in front of 300 people and fall and bust his whole mouth open, and he was like 6'6". You just saw him just you do a lot of standing still in the service when it comes to formation, especially when the general is going to see you, and there's thousands of you. It's a huge parade at the end of your at the end of boot camp. It's huge, and they tell you do not lock your knees. So that's the thing. Now on a bivouac, they're going to give you a lot of instructions. So you need to be mentally awake. Don't try to be hardcore and so you're super athletic. Nobody cares, because sleep deprivation is a real thing during the bivouac. Like I said, you might get 2-3 hours of sleep. You better savor every second of it. Be smart. If you can, you know, have a nice watch, 2 hour timing, and make sure you and your partner are in unison. My partner I liked him. He was a cool dude, but I knew what I was up against when he started complaining against the cold. I knew I was going to take on the most of the assignment, and that did not bother me at all, because I'm a soldier. This is my dude. We cool. He is a great guy. We just ran into something that he just wasn't used to, but that's the service. That's what it's all about. So I'm just telling you guys. I'm warning you guys who are going into the military. You are not tough. You're not. You're not tough. You're not super smart. You're not none of that. None of that. Because, like I said, sleep deprivation and muscle failure is a real exercise. It is a real thing. And they try to get you to that point. And when they do, they try to get you past it. And it's a real thing, because when you're at war, anything can happen. Let's see. Anything else I want to say about bivouac? Bivouac is a lot of fun when you're not freezing your tail off. Eventually, we were so cold that it was just a bunch of us was just standing there freezing, and then the de-ice tent. We noticed that this guy named Hanks, his last name was Hanks. He came out. He didn't even have a coat on. We were just like, wait, why don't you have a coat on? He said, because I'm in the de-ice tent. I'm their guard. And he said, we have a potbelly stove. Man, we went in there so quick. Them DIs was asleep. We did not care. They could have woke up and busted all of us. We didn't care. We really, really was freezing. So war is no joke, you guys. If you're going in, take it very, very serious. I don't care if it's hot, out or whatever it is. But the whole exercise is you don't know what you're up against. And take it very seriously, because you and your partner's life really depend on it. Of course, we wouldn't have been able to break ranks like that if we were, in any war situation. We do realize that, and but we did take advantage of, the heat that was coming out of Potbelly stove while we could, and we got back to our post. We didn't go in there and dilly dally. We got in there. We got warm real quick. We got right back to the post, traded off, told my partner, you know, what the deal was. He stayed cold, then he got warm, then he got out, cold again, woke me up. Next thing you know, it's 5 in the morning. Of course, they're not blowing taps there, but they're like everybody up. You get 3 hours sleep if you're lucky, 3 to 5. If you're lucky, I doubt if you got five. You, like I said, you might get 3, 4 hours sleep if you're lucky. Next day, you're up. You gotta, bang it out. Whatever it is you gotta do. Reserve your energy. Don't be stupid. I seen a guy, muscle bound guy, bust his whole ankle during the 20-mile march. He was the biggest one out of all of us. Boom, ankle gone. That was it for him. That was it. I think they got rid of him. So be smart, you guys. The service is no joke. Listen up, get your sleep, get your food, pick yourself a good partner that knows you, you know them, you guys bode well. Don't get into it with your squad leaders. It's just not good. And as your boy Tone 202, stay safe, stay alert, stay alive.